Hello, I'm Alex Grubard.
I'm Ryan Rummel.
We're hanging out in this great place, SIP Studios here in Jersey City.
Our new office workspace.
Yeah, we decided to do it. So this is day one, so we're recording it. We have some ideas of what we're gonna do.
We don't know what we're called either yet.
We definitely don't. So yeah, what do we already do? So we run a bunch of shows in Jersey City.
Yep.
I guess we should introduce ourselves, just talk about who we are.
Sure.
I'm Alex Grubard. I'm from New York City originally. Grew up outside Boston. Went to college in Philly at Temple University. I moved here about 4 years ago. I am a stand-up comedian. That's kind of what I do. I fucking, hack away at it, as it were. Yeah. But I've got an album on Helium Comedy Records called Let Me Teach You How to Distill Gin, so things are going great. Everything is turning up Grubard. And I host this show called Weeding Out the Stone, the game show of sobriety tests that kind of tours around the country and stuff. And it's been around for 5 or 6, 7 years, forever, 100 years, a century. No, I don't know. That's kind of what I do. And I live here in Jersey City now. It's the best. How about you, man?
I'm Ryan Rummel. I'm a stand-up comedian. I produce 3 shows now. One in an art gallery, Riff in the Room, soon to be Riff on the Roof again when the weather is nice. General Square Lounge Comedy Concourse and Corgi Comedy Club are the 3 that I produce. And then, jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
And that's me, and I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we run a bunch of shows in town. I've got a Weeding Out the Stone here at SIP Studios. It's also an event space coming up on February 26th here in Jersey City, 140 SIP Avenue. So, those tickets are online, blah, blah, blah. Why am I promoting all this stuff? Anyway, we got involved with SIP Studios, so we're getting more involved. Literally, we decided to go get a office space here. They're like a creative WeWork. They've got, is that how they call it?
Music studios, podcast studios. They have a performing area for shows, a lounge, hair and makeup,
Right.
And they're just getting started and we got in at the ground floor, and we're gonna work on our creative projects with hopefully bumping into other creatives.
Exactly, inviting comics down here. We'll do podcast interviews. I've been, it's funny, I've got a podcast and I'm trying to figure it out, Weeding Out the Stone still, always. And I'll do interviews, and I'll interview people over Zoom or whatever. And, I have a cat. My cat jumps all over me. You're like, this is just not the way to do it, So we'll be doing all sorts of stuff that just is probably a little bit more production value than if we were doing it in our
bathrooms.
The acoustics in bathrooms though are great.
In your wife's closet.
Yeah, that probably would be pretty good. That would be a good podcast studio. Tight, intimate space.
Yeah, the sound would be good because it'd be so insulated.
Yeah, right. But that light bulb thing, like you're walking into the basement.
Yeah. But we're excited for that. This is day one. So we already have stuff that we're doing. It's not like we're starting completely from scratch. We run a bunch of shows in town and out of town. So, we're just trying to get, if you want to run a show, call us. There's other people to call too. We can make recommendations. Yep.
We can do everything. We're like a comedy company. That's kind of the goal.
Comedy company. Is that our name? Comedy.
Somebody must have already had that. That gives... Byron Allen didn't take that already. You know what Byron Allen's company is called?
No.
You know who Byron Allen is?
No.
Yeah. Byron Allen was a comic in the 80s.
Alliteration. People like alliteration.
People like alliteration. Rhyming. They like rhymes.
Rhymes.
Like metaphor. They like A-B scale.
I don't know how to spell. Does rhymes has an H?
Yep. It totally does. But maybe we're like Tumblr where we spell it wrong.
How does Tumblr spell it wrong?
They take out an E, so it's Tumbler.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, so maybe we can do comedy. That's the dirty show.
Oh,
Comedy.
comedy. See, I'm nervous there's a lot of things called comedy already.
Yeah, see, I don't like it. It's too juvenile.
Yeah, it's a little juvenile.
We're Widiots.
Yeah, Widiots is not bad.
Oh, Widiots.
Yeah, I like that. Widiots. Yeah, man. I know, comedy company. Oh, Byron Allen's company is called like Entertainment Studios or something like super generic.
Oh,
Like the
well,
most generic name, ever. So he's the guy. He hosted this show called Comics Unleashed. That was just like panel.
Oh, I hate Comics Unleashed.
Right, you
where
film
they
like 8
prompt
of them in a
to
day.
do-
Right.
They prompt you to do your bits in a conversation.
Absolutely.
What's
That's
the
what it
lowest
is.
number of comedians, the audience members you perform?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you tell me about
For
that?
one person before. Yeah, exactly. Well, Byron. Well,
You
Rummel.
won't believe it.
Yeah.
Most
So-
generic name company. Most
Oh,
generic.
generic name company. Generic comedy company is good.
Most.
You know what's a name I like? There's a club in Minneapolis that's been around forever called Acme Comedy Company, and I think that's great. Because it's like Acme, like Looney Tunes
Yeah.
and stuff, of course. Love it.
Most generic. We sound like hacks. I'm
Hacks.
sure someone has some
That's
sort of
a TV
hacks.
show right now. I like making up a name is pretty good. Like, something real, like, I don't know, Spotify's in the news obviously these days. So I think Spotify is a good name for a company though.
Yeah.
There's something about it that's like, there's nothing in that name that says music, but now I'm like, that's what music is. Apple Music, what year is it?
Well, what I would like is something difficult to spell and pronounce. That's how you.
You can't do something difficult to spell.
You
I
say
know.
that for the tax form.
Right, exactly.
You make that
Yeah.
a tough one.
No, I think it's tough. There's so many, gone away comedy, bless this comedy. There's a million just shows called that stuff. We have shows that are called things like that. And it's just like I think for the overall company, if that's what we're doing, then it should probably be a little more generic. Like you're
Right.
saying, just something that like is an umbrella, like encompasses more things than just, one nighter comedy show at a bar. Or if it is, it should be like a joke like that, like open mic, the company. No, but that's horrible, obviously. Who wants that association? As your business.
So you're saying an umbrella, sorta, and then we get 2 comedians, and then they have 2 shows,
Why don't we
but
just-
they
yeah.
all give us money back for all their shows.
I don't know about that, but
Oh,
yeah, right.
alright.
But I see what you're saying. Yeah, comedy pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Maybe multi-level comedy marketing.
That's a good name.
That is not a bad
Comedy
name. Because then it's
pyramid
obviously
scheme.
a joke.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't just do a pyramid scheme, especially if you call your company pyramid scheme.
If it ain't broke, why? They've been working.
Yeah, I guess so. They do work in their own way. Somebody's tried that. People try that. That is an unsustainable.
A bringer.
Bringer
comedy
LLC.
show.
Bringer Inc.
Bringer Inc.
Bringer Inc. is something like that. I like Inc. as just to kind of give it that. Oh, this is official, even though the word you're using is probably absurd. I like the word absurd.
INC.
INC, yeah, Inc.
Oh, not.
INK.
It's like the
Are we
tattoo
gonna
people
chat?
have used that.
Yeah.
There's probably a million.
Inc. It's
Yeah.
big, right? That was a TV show, I think. Yeah, I don't know. What are the names we already call these shows? Comedy at the Concourse, Corgi Comedy Club, Riff on the Roof, Crockpot. This is another thing. I feel like every show I run besides Waiting Out the Stones starts with a C.
Alliteration.
I guess that is a big part of it. I try and step away from, when I start a show, usually, I like to do it where it's, there's a name that's just very not bland, but what's the meaning behind this? And then there's a subtitle that is more descriptive and like original copy. Like one thing I use for JSQ Lounge, the Comedy at the Concourse show, is when I'm writing descriptions for it, I'll say comedians from New York, New Jersey, and the New World Order. And that just kind of is the tagline for that show in my mind. I don't know why, I just went with that. And I still like it. So, that's kind of one thing I do with shows, personally.
It's comedy at the concourse.
Yeah, in the lower
I've only
concourse
been doing it,
downstairs at JSQ
It's
House.
downstairs.
It's a long title.
I
though.
know it's in the lower concourse. I just comedy concourse. All right.
Yeah.
I've only been doing it 5 months.
That's right, exactly. I know, and there's that. So I mean, we're gonna start hopefully doing shows here more, and like producing some shows here, and like kind of making Journal Square more of a thing. I think a big mistake a lot of places, and I've thought about doing this in one way, is like going like Journal Square Comedy and like Inc. or the LLC, like, and then that's the company, and I don't know if that's what we want to be doing. I mean, like Journal Square.
You know what I dislike is when a show has an inside joke for their name that the audience is not a part of and they don't understand it.
And easy to get there. That's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Every show or improv team name is like, it's been done so many times, it's like you're trying to break the mold, and like eventually you get so far away from what you're parodying or whatever. I mean, everybody does that. It's, you just gotta pick something, so whatever.
We named our improv group after this one sketch the state did.
Right.
You don't know it? Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're an idiot.
Well, I probably would know it, but that's me. I'm not in every audience, every improv audience. I almost watched an improv show the other day. It was close. I checked it out for like 2 minutes, 2 secs, whatever.
Yeah.
I walked into the back room after a stand-up show, and yeah, man, I was kind of, part of me was like, it was Brooklyn, and I kind of in a way was like, oh, right, improv at a bar. It felt a little like, I don't know, probably back to another time. Probably back to like the 1950s. No,
Innocence.
Yeah, that's
Something
kind of
innocent about improv.
Yeah, and I feel like improv is improv has merit, is how I feel about it. The trope is that stand-ups hate improv, but that's not actually how I feel.
Well, I don't enjoy it.
There is bad improv, there's bad stand-up, there's bad comedy. It doesn't mean it's not arts or whatever.
Oh, it's definitely art. I just want to know the percentage of people who have done improv that have been mugged or assaulted. Because I want to say it's
Probably,
like
yeah.
0. It's like 3%.
You think?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. This is just a theory I'm pulling out of the sky.
That haven't been.
That haven't been. Nothing
like,
really
what
is.
are they doing to not prevent these muggings? Like,
No,
starting a scene? What's good? Yeah.
No, there's like the innocence. Like they're like jaded.
Right. If I was a mugger, I would just stand outside the pit or whatever. Just mugging every single person that comes out of there. Pit's where the money's at. This is the money improvisers, Manhattan improv. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's probably a good idea. They probably all have day jobs. That's their acting.
All that money in improv.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I think improv is so interesting in that way. Like, to have seated in a back room, obviously, like, it would still exist, and it's gonna be in Brooklyn or whatever. But yeah, I kind of think of, the improv theaters are closing. Like, everybody's sticking around with improv, But I guess it just goes through a period, obviously. Everything has an era, a cycle.
When was the heyday of improv?
Oh, I would say probably like late 90s into, 2010-ish, something like around there, 2015. I'd say you could argue that it ended with some of these closures and COVID-19 and stuff like that. Second City was just purchased for like the second or third time in its history. Like the same guy owned it for 50 years or something. And it was purchased, and they had like all this like diversity scandal and people.
Well, what if they just like the improvers were like, well, actually I'm black.
I'm sure that's what they do.
Oh yeah,
So that's part of the
I'm not.
issue.
I'm improving. I'm a Native American queer man.
In 70 years, I'm sure it's happened. But yeah, maybe we'll wind up doing that. We'll just emulate Second City and have a theater in Detroit and Chicago and Toronto, and a touring company and a cruise ship. These are the goals. Cruise ship. No, that would be a nightmare.
The opposite.
The most biggest nightmare in the world. What are our goals?
No Cruise lines.
No cruise lines is a good one. Rules instead of goals. You know? No cruise line comedy is, you know, not cruise line comedy. Alliteration. No, I think we could pick something simple, like, you know, I would do like, you know, like, yeah, I mean, just like, I'd love to have like a 4-letter word, you know, not specifically fuck or whatever, but something, yeah, like snot comedy. I'm sure that's been used, but whatever, like.
We buy them out.
I mean,
who are we buying out? What name has enough pull that we take it over?
a viable option for sure.
Hostile buyouts.
Hostile takeovers. That's not bad. I mean, what are big companies that we could emulate? Apple, you know, these are the names of companies, but you run into problems when you're, you know, like Apple Records was a thing before Apple Computers. You know, you run into these, like, I think it's not, a lot of comedy does like just 2 nonsense words thrown together, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, there's earwolf and like, I mean, things like that, you know, Forever Dog. These are like podcast networks, you know. But even like, yeah, like Gas Digital, Compound, Media, this is how people do it. They pick a word or 2 words and then add media or entertainment or studios or LLC or Inc. to the end. This is what I think happens out there. And just make sure you have like you're Googleable in some way. You're not going like Google comedy, you know, or
that would not be a good name.
probably not. Yeah, like it's super. I know. Or Google would buy you and be like, now you're the comedy division of Google. You're gonna be the Google Maps of comedy, or whatever that means. You know, like we're not a coder.
We should just pick the worst name and work backwards from that. So like Google comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Would be terrible. That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, I would. Right. So I was thinking, and this is like me kind of trying to do entertainment studios. We were talking about it right before we started. Like I was running this thing. During COVID, I threw like a mini festival at a baseball field just for fun, and called it ACES, and it was Absurdist Contemporary Entertainment or something like that. And yeah, that was kind of a goal of like, maybe this would be fun enough to do it once a year. And like, I bet I would do it again, maybe not in the baseball field. But, you know, the idea was just to come up with obviously we hadn't done a lot of stand-up. So that was like part of it was to do some sort of like half gimmick show with something really simple outside, you know, at the time. I mean, it wasn't exactly some sort of huge success, but you know, for comics it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that came, I think, enjoyed it enough. But yeah, so I mean, that was like Aces. I liked Aces. I was using a Ace of Clubs as a, you know, brand thing, a poster or whatever. Yeah, like a symbol, an image, just like a, you know, and I don't know, there was something about that. It's like comedy club, so I like the club, so like Aces, but it's really something else. But I feel like you can play with the Aces sort of name, you know. I kind of like the idea of Aces Comedy Club as a name. What would you name a comedy club?
I don't know. AC says I get 10%. So
Yeah.
Aces.
Aces.
What would I name a comedy club? Bananas.
The
Chuckle Hut.
Yeah, Chuckle Hut is good because it's that's like a joke one,
But doesn't it really
I
exist?
think it either does exist or did exist.
Going down to the Chuckle Hut.
Right. Yeah. Chuckle Hut is fun because it's like, that's good because it's already a slang term, you know. It'd be like
Chuckle fuckers.
You know, chuckle fuckers. I think that is also
That's just a terminology for.
Oh, right. Roadkill. That's another terminology.
That's like lot lizard for comedians.
Yeah, right, exactly. Lot lizards. Yeah, I mean, you know, so many things. I mean, it's gonna mean, whatever name we pick is gonna mean like bullshit to us eventually. You know, like, eventually.
We should start out with a name we hate, learn to love it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, you go with it. This is what we're called.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've heard Green Day be like, yep, the name is, well, I mean, we're not using anything different. but we don't like it. Beastie Boys, I think same thing. You know,
Wait, Green Day doesn't like their name?
Yeah, I don't think they do. They were like Sweet Children or something.
I like that worse.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, they were like Sweet Children when they were like 15 or 16, but there was another Bay Area band or something called Children, so they had to switch their name. And they had a song called Green Day, so they switched it to Green Day. And now they're like, it's dumb and childish, you know? I also love that Green Day was a slang term, but now because the band is so big,
what was it?
It's smoke weed all day. I had a
Green Day.
I had a Green Day. You know, so it's like, but nobody would ever say that. You know,
Yeah,
you
no.
wouldn't be like, I had a
didn't
Green
even-
Day. You're like, you got tickets? Like, what do you mean? You listen to Nimrod after, I don't know, fucking everything else they did.
Can someone write a letter to Green Day that they can stop?
I'm sure
They
people
stop.
do.
They did it. They're done.
They're big enough that they get those letters plenty.
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
good.
I'm sure.
Good. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. So the Aces thing, I don't know that anything generic. I just think it shouldn't be. You know, our goal should not be cruise lines. We shouldn't tie it to Journal Square if we might try to do more shows out of town. We shouldn't be like, this is a comedy show. Like name it like it's a comedy show.
Right.
That's
So
fucking-
we're right now. You're thinking parent company umbrella.
Yeah, like let's say here's the thing, like if because we're gonna record stuff like this, try and build out a little more of this, we can invite more people over to record, or you know, people could even rent it out for a minute or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure something out, something that's viable for comics and us, and then you know, that's not insane. We have our own projects we're trying to work on, but that could be one of them. You know, building a space that more people can get involved with, more comedians, because that's our bread and butter. You know, it's who we like.
Yeah.
Actors, schmactors, no, they can come too. I don't fucking know.
Oh yeah.
New York.
All walks of life. Musicians.
Yeah.
We can't help you,
Yeah, we don't know.
but you could help us.
Come hang out on the podcast. I think a lot of people here do like streaming, so we might try and do some Twitch streaming just to play around.
Right. Yep.
You know?
Invite our Twitch comics.
And assumedly, literally every idea is going to make $1 million. That's what we expect.
Yeah. That's what we demand.
No, we don't even know. I mean, we have nothing. So, right, what we're doing, we run some shows, we work together, you know, many times a week. We're going to get some stuff done here. So we're,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
That's the plan.
that's the plan. And yeah, we'll try and expand, I mean, with the space. So we have, you know, we can expand our, you know.
Yeah, as more people move into the space, we'll need more people.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure eventually we'll create, you know, a podcast channel and you know, or something like that. Maybe not a network, but you know, we'll put out a podcast or, you know, like this. We'll probably do this every week or something like that. And just kind of update everybody on what we've been doing. And then, you know, I'm sure we'll create all that kind of stuff, YouTube stuff and, I don't know, maybe a Patreon. We'll try and build some stuff. Maybe we'll come up with some merch and some fun, weird things that we can do.
Merch.
But right, we don't even have a website right now.
A
We don't
comedy
have a name.
taxi service where a comedian picks you
Perfect.
up and does his set on your way to dinner or after dinner.
Honestly, I think that some people would get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely be.
You gotta
on your
reserve
way
it
to
like a
way
week
to
in
date.
advance.
Yeah.
You tell us how far the trip is, and we'll get you the comedian who can do that much time.
Comedian Uber drivers.
Yes.
We hook you up for a prime, you know. Yeah, that's a fun
Yes.
idea. I think that is a totally
Comedian.
viable idea. People would probably every now and again pay $40 to take a $10 ride just because their Uber driver was a comic. You know,
Yeah.
however you would work that out.
Taxi, the generic, you know, we don't, there's Lyft too out there, people. So.
Right, exactly. You don't want to just make. I mean, we don't want to, you know,
Comedian
corner
taxi,
ourselves.
we book it, or I'll drive you myself and tell you jokes.
Because that's totally a way to get, like, I bet your SEO would be pretty good if you were like Uber comedy or something like that. And then people are like looking for Uber jokes, but then they discover your service, that kind of thing. Like,
That's right, yeah.
But you're just riding the coattails of Uber. You know,
You would have to tell us what humor you kind of like, because we could send you a mime. That'd be tough. He'd be,
I don't know
the steering wheel would be slippery. You'd be like, you ever do that trick where you, it's not working.
Oh my god. He shows up, there is no car. Yeah.
Come on!
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think he would say come on.
Oh, yeah.
He'd pretend to honk at you.
Oh yeah, I don't even think he would have to do this like silently. Like,
Yeah. They can't make any noise.
Yeah.
Any.
No one hears him die. If a mime dies in the forest, can you? Does anyone hear him?
No, I don't think so.
Obviously not.
And they all die in the forest
So
too.
right there.
Mine's tend to die.
I got an
in the
idea.
forest.
This is why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Write some jokes down. Write some jokes. I try to write some jokes every day.
Should I bring in another mic stand?
That'd be great.
Or here, you have one,
I
right?
do. I think it's in my car.
All right.
I brought a mic.
Because they have one set up there for shots too.
Right,
But
yeah.
we definitely should put one right up.
Yeah,
in
we'll
front.
gotta, grab this stool because it's like obviously we're a comedy company. It would be nice to just call it comedy company or something like that. I think that is kind of fun enough because it's just
You just gotta look up if it.
the holding company or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're talking about. I mean, our margins are small as far as our finances go, but I
Like
don't
most
think-
of the stuff in this room, we have found
Yeah.
laying around the studio.
Almost everything that's not on the desks.
And I'm gonna guarantee you, we find more.
Yeah,
More stuff.
probably.
There's tons of stuff around.
Exactly. We'll find a love seat and I don't know, maybe we'll record like that next time. No, probably not that. But we'll figure out some more stuff. We'll try and get some more equipment, production value, any of that sort of stuff. Heck yeah. So I don't know. If we decided on just kind of our favorite name at the end of this, doesn't have to be confirmed, we'll update people.
Comedy company, and most generic comedy.
Most generic or generic.
I like
is
that.
good.
Widiots. I like Aces, most generic, Widiots, and comedy.
Yeah. Right. I like
Those
one
are
of
my top four.
I know. We could just do generic, but that's probably been done.
Most
Something
generic.
generic. I would get rid of the comedy and go either like most generic. Or something like that. Something generic.
Basic bitches.
Yeah. Maybe I would avoid the word basic. You know what I mean? People get offended.
Yeah.
But I would say.
Really? That's an offensive
I'm
word
kidding
now?
around. Both of those words are offensive. Is the joke?
Oh.
No. Put around. But I would say something generic or generic something. It's fun. Unique generic rehearsal. I don't know, generic. Some weird word. Flourish. I don't know. Just something that's like nobody uses that word for a company. It's just
Out of business.
yeah, out of business.
No one uses that.
Yeah,
But
right.
they eventually use it.
Out of business. Out of LLC. Out of Inc. I don't know. Out of Inc. These are all bits. No, of course not. No, I don't know. We'll think of something. So yeah, I mean, we got more stuff. You want to talk about any of your projects that you're doing or coming up or anything like that? I guess we should put all of our stuff.
The personal thing I'm gonna do in this room is jerk off.
Please do.
I have, since I've started, every notebook and every set list and every scrap of paper is going to get laid out and put in order in some OCD fashion. And I'm gonna find jokes that I forgot about, and then I'll find jokes that I began to hate, and then once I read them again, I'll be like, oh, I have a better tag, and so that's one of the projects I'm gonna be doing on my own.
Heck yeah. Very cool. Yeah, no, I mean, we've got all our shows. I've got a big Weeding Out the Stone tour, so I'm going to be working on that, sending out a lot of press releases and just trying to promote that. Should tell everybody that you've ever heard of about Weeding Out the Stone going on tour, playing the West Coast, we're playing the East Coast. Ryan will be with me, on the West Coast at least, and we're doing, one of the shows. Jersey City, we're doing Sip Studios here.
Yep. Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, back to Philly.
Emmaus, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New
all
York,
over. Ooh.
Leonardo, New Jersey, and Kevin Smith's Modcastle.
Yep.
That's 2 shows. That's a sweet space, and we'll record that for sure. We'll try and record all of these. And then yeah, so I'm gonna be building that kit, all that stuff. But go to weedingoutthestone.com for videos and podcasts and any information.
And tickets.
Yeah, subscribe to the Weeding Out the Stone podcast. That'd be great. Like and subscribe to this, review it, share it.
Just follow me on Instagram, Ryan Rummel Comic.
Yeah, I'm at Alex Grubard. And yeah, all tickets to Weeding Out the Stone are on Bands in Town. Follow us on Bands in Town. That's super helpful too. Yeah. And yeah, definitely we'll come up with a name for this too. By the time you watch this might have a name. At least the podcast or whatever, the update.
Update.
I'm gonna, update. Updated SIP. I don't know.
This has been a SIP Studio naming update.
Yeah, I'm Alex Grubard.
I'm Ryan Rummel.
We'll see you next time. Peace.